Alright, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to create a string table management system. We're going to build it in Excel because Excel has tables and those are really comfortable and usable. And then we're going to make Excel build a C# script that is going to be directly injected into our game. Alright, so let's get started. Now I've already created a bit of infrastructure here, so there's a new project. There's 2 pieces of text on canvas. We've got a folder for scripts, static scripts and string tables, if we have multiple ones or whatever, and VBA folder for a string table manager. Notice this is an XLSB file. You could make an XLSM file. The point is it needs to be macro enabled. So let's open this up. I have a Spanish version here, but it's fine. It works the same for everybody. So let's delete these new sheets. This is a completely blank file. So, okay. So this one we're gonna call code. And then here we're gonna call this one text. Now let's build our text concept sheet first. So there's gonna be an ID, and then we're gonna put English, and then there could be other languages, and then comment like that. Let's call this one string ID. There we go, like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna designate certain specific background colors. And let's say this blue. There we go. This blue is gonna be my languages. We can make this a bit wider, this a bit wider, and the comment as well, or whatever. It's fine. Alright, so a string ID will be some kind of unique identifier. I'm gonna stick to certain basic rules. It will be all camel cased, just as simple as that. Right. So let's call this one title for title screen. Well, underscores could be good too. Let's go with underscores. Yes. So title, so that'll tell me the screen. And what else will I do? Let's call it game title. There we go. And then title instructions. So something like press space to play. And this is a test game. No comments for now, who cares? These will be useful later, maybe. Who knows? I'm also going to color this particular tab blue, for example. And this one, let's color it green. Okay, good. Now let's take a look at the code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the name of the sheet first that I want. And then the C# code I would want. All right, so let's go and create... yeah, Unity doesn't like you when you open Excel directly. Not sure why, don't care. So I'm going to create a C# script here. I don't actually need to do this. Actually, let's not do this yet. Never mind. Let's start writing code first, because we need to learn a few things first. So we're going to create a new module. And this module, we're going to call it... main. There. Option explicit. This will force us to declare all of our variables in advance. In VBA, you can actually use variables before they are declared. We are not going to allow that. Sub is basically your void in C#. We're going to call this one write CS. Now, one thing we're going to need is we're going to need a new library to access. The way you do this is you go to settings, I think this is settings, and then references. And inside references, you're going to need a Microsoft Scripting Runtime, MSR. So you scroll down to there it is, Microsoft Scripting Runtime. This one's necessary for us to be able to create files. Yeah, and I may need to reference some old code a little bit just to sort of remember how to do it, but we're gonna start with that. So we're gonna create a dim, which is basically var, okay, FSO as file system object, that's it. And dim FSO, we're not doing lowercase, FSO file as file. I think that's what we need. I should probably consult some old code for this, but that's okay for now. I think that's it. So what we need to do is we need to create a file, open it and close it. That's what we need to do every time. So I think it's set FSO equals new file system object. I think that's it. Oh gosh, I absolutely do not remember. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and take a look at old code, because it's been a very long time for me. And no, we're not. We're gonna use the internet. Let's be honest here. Okay. Aha. Set fs create object. Okay. Scripting file system object. That's it. I think that's probably the same, frankly. And then F, I think F stands for file. See how they're not declared here? Open text file. There we go. Okay, so let's copy this. Actually, let's copy all of this. And let's go back to our code. There we go. So set FSO file. FSO open text file. I think this will work. And now we need to decide a path. Now, for the path, I would like to have a thing that finds it automatically. Remember, in all of our projects, or that's how I intend to operate, I'm going to have a VBA folder and then a scripts static StringTables folder. Okay, so that's where I want to go. So I need to find myself first. Now, there's many things we can do for this. So let's begin by creating a new module, which we're going to call tools. And in here, option explicit. All right. And here we're going to create a tool to get us the path. So to do that, I'm actually going to create what's called a function in VBA, which is basically something that isn't a void. It will return something. Get path. Let's just call it that way. Doesn't need anything. I don't think so. So we're gonna start with dim path as a string, and then we're gonna say path equals this. I think is it workbook? This dot workbook. I can't remember. Maybe it's this workbook dot path. There we go. That's it. So this gives us the path of the workbook, file name, everything we need. Now we actually want to go back a folder. So what we're gonna do is we are going to, let me think. We can go through the string itself, find the slashes, and then remove stuff. Now, I don't recall if the path actually gives us, if the path gives us the path or the path and file name. I'm not sure. So we're going to have to test that. So we're going to say message box path. And then we're going to say get path equals path. That's how you return, by the way. And we're going to create a sub test just so I can try this. And we're going to call get path. That's it. So let's hit play here. And that's the path. Okay, as you can see, it stops at VBA. So it doesn't give me the file name. That's a relief. So all I need to do is I need to get to the final slash. Okay, and when I find the final slash, I take whatever's before it. That should be fairly easy. Let's see. So dim loop as long. Oh, you don't like the word loop? Okay. C loop. How's that for character loop? Oh, bananas. There we go. And dim c limit as long. C limit equals len path. For c loop equals 1 to c limit. Just so you know, VBA is 1 based, not 0 based, except in some exceptions. But we'll worry about that when we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So C loop is 1. Okie doke. So we go through each character. I'm gonna say we're gonna create a new path as well. Dim processed path as string, and processed path is empty. Now, if do you need brackets? I don't think so. Oof, I can't remember. I don't think you do. So if and we're gonna check mid path start is gonna be loop length is gonna be 1. Okay, you see C loop, how the character L and the number 1 are very, very similar aesthetically. Yeah, you gotta worry about that. So equals, now you write 1 equals, not 2 equals. Welcome to VBA. Equals, which slash is it? Is it this one? I'm not sure. Then and if. So let's just quickly run it again. I don't remember which one. Nope, it's the other slash. Yeah, that makes sense. There we go. So if it's that, then what happens? Then process path equals left of left of path by C loop minus 1. And then let's add chr10 vbcrlf, yeah, line break. So let's add a couple line breaks and let's add the processed path. Let's run it again. All right, there we go. We're in assets now. That's pretty good. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a new dem, which we're gonna call path suffix is as string. Can you give it the default value? Something like this. No, it's not happy with this. What about this? It's not happy with that either. Oh boy. Well, then I'm simply gonna separate the thing as I did before. So path suffix equals, and now what we need to do is we need to add a slash, and then we need to start adding all of the path here. So let's just go, because I'm super lazy, I'm gonna go to show in Explorer and StringTables, and I'm literally gonna grab this stuff like this, go back here, paste it, close. That's it. So it's gonna be process path and path suffix. And let's simply say message box call path or get path, whatever. Hit play. Game development gem ID as racing string table. Wait. I've just noticed the path is kind of a potato. Wait a moment. I think I have put this thing in the wrong place. I certainly have. StringTable refinement. Okay. So let's close this project. I'm actually not happy with its location, so I'm gonna move it. Game development, jam ideas, racing. Okay, StringTable refinement. I'm going to move it right here. All right. Need to close everything. Now I'll be able to move it over there. Okay, so now I can open it by going to assets, scenes, sample scene. There you go. Whatever it's called, who cares? Whoop, whoop, whoop. And now we wait. Skip new version, VBA, StringTable manager. All right, back we are. Alt F11. Yeah, so the path should now be a little bit less stupid. Yeah, StringTable refinement, assets, scripts, static string tables. Fantastic. So we have the correct path. So now it's just a matter of then creating the file using this path. So we don't need this test anymore, but we do have this lovely function that will help us. Okay, so FSO, open text file. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna call this one get path. And then we're gonna add a slash, and we're gonna add test.cs. For appending, no. It's gonna be for writing. Create is gonna be true. Tri-state, you want tri-state true, because basically this decides in what format the file will be written, and if you use ASCII you're gonna lose, which is false, you're gonna lose accents and all sorts of crazy things that many languages need. If you do tri-state true, it goes to Unicode, so it will support all of those crazy characters. That's it. Okay, so that should do. So we're gonna create the file. We're gonna write the line hello world, and then we're gonna close the file. There we go. Let's give it a shot. Boing, we got an error. What are you unhappy with? E? You couldn't find the method. That's peculiar. Oh wait, are you right doesn't exist. Okay. Right line. Oh dear. I don't remember how. Let's go to VBA FSO right. Let's see what we get. Somebody will have done this before. Okay, create object. Yeah, this looks silly, but I'm simply going to copy it. I don't want to risk things. Oh, it might be that. I'm wondering. No, it's not. Well, obviously you wouldn't know yet. Early binding for learning, it's better to reference back go to tools, reference and select. This allows you to declare the file. Oh no, there, I was right. Let's undo a couple of these. There we go. New file system object. See, just like that. Yeah, that's been done. So create object. Yeah, whatever. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Copy files. Read and write to text files. That's it. Write line. I remember that. So okay. Create text file. Is that what we did? No. But I think open text file is correct because it will auto create it if it doesn't found it. So that should be correct. Write 2 lines. TS write line. Hello world. Hello people. New line character to text file. Cool. That's what I thought it would be. So is it FSO or TS? TS FSO create file. That's good. FSO. This should be write line. Huh. So it wasn't among the options, but you're happy now. Interesting. Okay. Let's test this. Couldn't find that either. Do I not have that reference? I do. What in the world? What am I doing wrong? Is file. I wonder if that's not a file. Could be. Text stream. That could be it. Let's try that. Aha! That helps a little bit. Doink. Okay, so we haven't heard anything, right? But it's importing something. And in script, static string tables, boom, there's a test file. Which if we open in Visual Studio, because it's a C# file, it's going to find the text hello world written right there. Okay, so this step is working. Okay, so we're writing at the on the file now. Obviously this is kind of boring. That's not what we want to do. So we're gonna start writing more interesting things in a moment. Let's begin by looking at the code bit. So basically what I want is I want to use this particular sheet to write C# code as I would, right? So in this particular case, it would be a public static class, and then I'm gonna give it a certain variable name, right? So let's create this. You can't use square brackets, they may be useful. Let's use $, or whatever. There, $, will be our variable indicator, and we're gonna call this one class, just class is sufficient, and then close the variable. So public static class, so that will be the name of the class, and then an open squiggly. We're also going to want to close squiggly at some point. So inside the class, I'm going to leave one line break, and then what I'm going to write here is, well, actually, see, I changed my mind. What we're going to write first is an enum, and that enum will contain all of these string IDs. So it's going to be a public enum, which is going to need an enum name, and then a squiggly, and then a closed squiggly. And inside here, I'm going to indent. So let's call this one indent. And after I indent, what we're going to do, yeah, one second. And after I indent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, let's change this to a different thing just so it's obvious. Enums. So anyway, so public enum, and then there's a variable called enums, or enum I should say, and then indent enums. Okay, and here all of the enums are gonna go. Let's begin with that for now. We're not gonna do anything else. Should we have any use library? Probably collections. So let's cut this, put it right here, and oh dear, is it using system.collections? I think so. So back to here, it's going to be using system.collections. There we go. And that's it. So what we're going to do now is, instead of writing what we wrote, we're going to write this to the file. Easy enough. Back to here. Okay, so we are going to need a reference to the text sheet. So we're going to create a dim tsh as sheet. No, it's worksheet. That's it. And set tsh equals sheets, and then you can give it the name text, because that's what ours is called. And we also need the code sheet. So csh code. There we go. So we got both sheets ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the code sheet. So we're going to create a C loop for code, I think. So dim C loop as long. Dim. We also should use a vertical loop. A horizontal loop. Yeah, let's call them H loop and V loop. So dim H loop as long. Dim H limit as long. And dim V limit as long. Okay, so for the horizontal loop, we're gonna need a horizontal count, I guess. Let's do for H loop. We know H loop is gonna be 1 equals 1, 2, and it's gonna be H limit. Right? The problem is we don't know H limit yet. So in this particular case, H limit equals C sheet, this one here, and what should we do? This is what we'll do. Not exactly safe. Application formula. What's it called again? Worksheet formula. Aha, worksheet function, and you want count A, which means count any cells that aren't blank. And now it needs information, so it's going to be C sheet, it's going to be rows, and it's going to be 1. So we're going to feed it the first row, and it's going to count like so. It's going to count how many there are. So in this particular case, there's only 1. Okay, so it's going to start at 1 and stop at 1. Sounds good to me. Okay, now next H loop. Now we can loop through all of them, and we're going to get them one by one. Let me quickly check here. So this one's called capital T text, capital T text. Good. They need to be exactly the same because we're going to need that. In fact, we're going to change this and not set the sheet yet. It's going to be called the target sheet, T sheet. There we go. So the first step is going to be TSH, well, set TSH equals sheets. And then the name is going to be what's in the code sheet. So it's going to be CSH cells, and it's going to be, we know the row, it's 1, but we don't know the column. That one is determined by H loop. Dot value. Value is the text in it. Okay, so now it's going to read text. So this is going to be the text sheet. Therefore, if in here you happen to have, I don't know, text A, and text A doesn't exist, you're going to get a crash at the moment. And that's fine. This is a tool for us developers, so it doesn't need to have all of the usability you would have in a tool for users, right? All right, so we have the text sheet now. So what we need to do is we're going to have to create a script with this particular name as well. So here when we open the file, you see how it says test? That's not good enough. Let's cut this actually and move it all the way here. And this instead. Oh wait, we may need, no, new system object is fine, but we may need to redo it several times. That's a breakpoint. Okay, here we go. Set FSO file, open it, not test, that's wrong. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get exactly the same value. So it's gonna be like this, and paste, and CS. So that's not good enough still, because I want to make it a little bit more useful to know. So it's gonna be something like text, and let's call it database. There we go. So it's going to be called text database.cs in this case. Okay. Now we've got the file, and now we're going to assemble whatever is written there. So we need a vertical loop. And vlimit, okay, we cannot use exactly the same technique as before, application worksheet function count a, because we want to leave line breaks. As many as we want, because that's how we want our code to look like, right? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say vlimit equals, and now I'm just gonna type cells, which is wrong, but I'll correct it soon. Cells dot special cells. Whoops. Special. Oh darling, do it for me. Special cells. Excel type last cell. Okay. And dot row. So I want the final row, and here now I'm gonna add CSH. The reason why I did it this way is because the IntelliSense in VBA is really poor. So you don't, if you put a sheet you've chosen in advance, this will parse when you're typing your code, which is really annoying. This is very rudimentary, mind you, but it's fine, it works. Now we're gonna create another nested loop, and it's gonna go from used to C#, from vloop being equal not to 1 but to 2, because we're going from the next row to vlimit. I forgot I need to write to vlimit next vloop. Okay, so now we're looping vertically, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna write that line. That's all we're gonna do for now. Write line, and now I need to go get the cell. So it's gonna be very similar to this, except instead of this, it's gonna be vloop. All right, and then we're gonna close the file. I'm gonna add a beep at the end so I know it's done. Maybe you guys won't hear it. Now you'll hear it. Ding, it's done. Right? So it's waking up. So you see test was here. Let's remove it. And now text database should be here. We got some C# errors. That's okay. Okay, so let's take a look. Using system.collections. We're missing a semicolon. And then all of this stuff is wrong. But as you can see, it's being correctly written. Okay. Perfect. Important. Semicolons. Enums. Yeah, no, this one needs to be built on its own. Okay, back to VBA. So this is working. Now what we're gonna have to do is, before we write this line, what we need to do is we need to analyze that line. Okay, so we're gonna create a new function, and we're going to return a string. So we're going to call this one process C# line, and it's going to need a line as string. There we go. And we're going to call process line value. Yeah, another thing also we've noticed, I think. No, the line breaks are working correctly, it looks like. So they're being placed. That's good. It's good enough for me. Okay. So what we're going to have to check is we're going to have to extract that variable which is present between two dollar signs. So the first thing we're going to check is if the line has dollar signs inside it. Right. So we're going to say, what's the easiest way to do this? Let's create this dim s as long, dim e as long. Let's be a little bit more explicit. Start car as long and end car as long. And we're gonna say while, oh dear, I don't remember how to write a while in Excel, in VBA. How do you check? In string, I think. start is 1, string is line, the dollar symbol, oh dear, text compare, I hope, is higher than 0, wend, I think, yeah, okay, so as long as in string blah 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 it's higher than 0, do a thing. So start character equals this thing. So we'll find the first one. +1 would be my bet. And end character equals in string line s, but we're gonna start from start character. What I'm trying to do is extract that variable that's between the two dollar signs. I don't think it's +1. My bet would be -1. Yeah. And now we're gonna say message box, and we're gonna say mid, and it's gonna be line start as long as start character, and length is end character minus start character. So this may or may not be correct, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna put a break over here, and let's see what happens. Let's hit play. Oh, my bad. And car. There you go. Okay, enum. So I missed that M. And now I'm stopping the code because obviously this while will go forever at this point. So start carry. So let's remove this -1. Test it again. This should work. Enum. Perfect. And it goes on forever. And I'm a potato because I completely forgot to leave this breakpoint for now. Okay, so it says enum and we're all happy. So if I recall correctly, now we're going to have a bit of a problem because it's not going to be happy. The file was actually never closed. So there may be issues. We'll find out soon enough. So I've got enum. And I want to switch now, which is select case. Let's create a string for that. So dim var name as string. So var name is going to be equal to mid of line by start character and char minus start char. There we go. So we got the van name. Okay, var name, that's what I meant. Select case var name and select case enum. Oh dear, is that how you do it? I think so. Don't remember if it's got colons or not. Blimey, I don't remember. It's fine. Well, actually it's not fine. Let's look it up real quick. VBA select case example. There you go. There we go. With examples, perfect. Select case, blah, blah, blah. Yay. Okay, case 1, and then you put that. All right. Okay, so it's going to auto break, basically. Sounds good. So case enum. If it's an enum, then we need to write enum, or rather the name of the enum. And the name of the enum we don't necessarily have, because this enum over here is going to be connected to this one. So I need to somehow collect that ID. Okay. Let's do this. So we're gonna need a collect ID name, and we need to feed it here, by the way. Well, or sort of make it in advance. Yeah, I think so. And it's gonna have to be out here, outside of all of these functions. So dim, and we're gonna call this one string ID enum as string, or just, yeah, let's call it ID enum, or enum ID. There you go. I like that. Enum ID. So enum ID, and it's always going to be the top left, I think. A bit worried about this. It's kind of not very intelligent, but I think it'll do for now. That's what happens when you improvise. So enum ID, and now we need to go find it. So we have the sheet, there it is, and we're simply going to say enum ID equals upper, or ucase, I think it's called, yeah, ucase, and it's gonna be tsh dot cells 11 dot value. So it's gonna be the content in there, and that's how it's going to be. So case enum, what we're going to do is we're going to replace this variable within line. All right, so we're gonna say line equals oh dear, can't remember, line dot replace, no, replace maybe, replace, there you go, replace, and it's going to be $enum, or I suppose $, and var name, and $, with I think it's actually line, then find a string and replace a string is going to be this enum ID over here. Okay, so what this is going to do is that it's going to get rid of this particular enum over here, and it's going to replace it with whatever enum is. Now let's deal with indent. So indent, and now I can't for the life of me remember how you add a tab character into in there, but I think, oh, by the way, we need to say that process cs line equals line, otherwise we return nothing. We're gonna say line, same thing, there we go, and I think it's chr9. This should be tab, but I'm not certain, so let's give it a shot. So this should already work, because presently our code doesn't have any more variables other than hashtag enums, but we're going to leave that there. And now let's go and play it again. Okay, it's done. Let's go to Unity, or Visual Studio I should say, and there we go. Public enum string ID, and there are the enums, and the indent has worked. Now I've noticed this indent, sometimes it doesn't like it. We could also put 4 spaces, which is the standard length of an indent. I think that's what we're actually going to do. Yeah, so we're going to do that instead, and that should in fact work. So if I select this line, for example, or here, yeah, see, it adds the 4 spaces. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to here, and instead of character 9, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, 4 spaces. Perfect. So indent and enum are Done. Now, what we need to do is we need to do the same sort of loop, but for the hashtagos, like this. And so we're looking for a hashtag and hashtag. And enum is going to be wrong here, because we'll need to know what we're replacing it with. And in this particular case, it's called enums, by the way. And I don't like that. What we're going to do is, instead of this, we're going to call it string ID. And we should probably also somehow get... No, we already know it through the hyphens. So thanks to the existence of these hyphens, we'll look for the hyphens, then we'll find what the content is. Now that we know the content, we're going to go to the sheet, which is called text over here, find this, and then start looping through all of these and create a list. Shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, so enums. Okay, nothing really changes there. And here's where we're going to have to modify the line. So we're going to have to construct that line over here. And we're going to create a new function for that, which is going to be function build list from sheet and column. Something like that. And we're going to have a S as worksheet requested. Excuse me. And we're also going to require the call name as string. But I think I prefer the column just as an ID, as a number. So call as long. So let's do that for now. But I think we're going to need a new tool for this. Yes, we're going to create a small tool which is going to search for things vertically and horizontally as we wish. So we're going to call this one function header find. And this is going to require a S as worksheet. It's going to require a starting point. So start as long. It's going to require a type, which I'm simply going to use a string for, really, for vertical and horizontal. Not optimal, but it's fine. It's my tool. It doesn't have to be super fast. It's still going to be ridiculously fast, but anyway. So I'm going to call this one, yeah, search type as string. Is there anything else I need? Oh, of course. And item as string. So what I'm actually searching for. Okay. So we're going to need a horizontal and vertical loop. We're going to need limits. So it's going to be dim h loop as long, dim v loop as long, dim h limit as long, dim v limit as long. Okay, so I've got all of these. Now, yeah, so h limit equals cells, special cells, Excel type plus cell dot column. Right, that's my h limit, but it needs to go to s. And then v limit is s dot row. Now, technically speaking, now that I think about it, I don't need an h and a v limit at all. I need just a loop and a limit. So let's call it s loop for search and s limit. S limit is going to be either column or row depending on what we are. So it's going to be select case search type and select. And we're going to say case V for vertical and case H for horizontal. So if we're doing a vertical search, rather, if we're doing a horizontal search, then our S limit is horizontal, otherwise it's vertical. Easy. All right, now let's create the loop for S loop equals 1. 1, 2, enough with them brackets, this is in C#, S limit, next S loop, and this is going to be exactly the same over here actually. Well, I'll paste it when it's all written. We need to look for the item. So we're going to say if s.cells, and now we're going vertical. That means the row is S loop, and the column index is actually our start. So it's where we are, right? So, you know, if I give you column 2, it means I want to look in column 2, that sort of stuff. And we're gonna then dot value is item. So if this is my item, then and if exit 4, and simply say header find equals header find equals S loop. So this entire thing again over here, S limit. So S loop now is going horizontally. So start goes here, and we are going through the columns within a certain row. Let's rename start to anchor, but now I need to be careful because I need to replace it everywhere, so it should be there. Okay, exit 4. Now, suppose that all of this fails and we can't find it. We're going to say header loop find equals -1, and then hopefully we'll do something with that, because as a coordinates it's invalid, header find, right? So we're looking for coordinates this way. Okay, build list from sheet, etc., and it wants that. So line replace blah blah, build list from sheet and column, and it's going to need an S as a worksheet, and that particular worksheet is never sent. So S as worksheet, let's send it here. Process CS line is going to require the TSH. There's a sheet. Boom. So it receives the sheet, and there we go. So you can send it S as worksheet, and the column is going to be header find, and it's going to use S as the worksheet. Then we're going to go to the anchor 1, I'm fairly sure, and then we're going to go to search type is going to be horizontal in this case, and then for the item we need to find not enums. See, that's a lie. We've changed that now. We need to find string ID. So it doesn't matter what it is. We're gonna send it to this feller. Let me quickly undo. Oh wait, var name. Good. Var name. There we go. All right, it's unhappy for now. Var name build open bracket 1, 2. There, that helps. Not enough brackets, my dear. Okay, so, and there's the column. All right, so we've got the column now. We've got the sheet. We've got the column. So we know we're here. Easy. So all we need to do is just go vertically until the end of time, right? So dim content loop as long, dim content limit as long. And we're going to make a couple of assumptions now. One assumption is this will never be empty. That's it. Like, you can never have skips like these, all right? So it's always in a row. 4. C, oh boy. Well, first I need to tell you what the C limit is going to be, don't I? C limit equals cells, special cells. Considering what I just said, I'm going to change my mind and we're going to say application worksheet function count a. And now I need to tell it where. So we're going to go to this sheet, and then I'm going to say columns call. There we go. Now we got the C limit. C loop equals not 1. We always know it's going to be 2. 2 C limit. Next C loop. Okay, because there's always a header on top. Okay. Now we can start constructing that string. So we're going to need a string to return to. So dim returnable as string, and we're going to say returnable equals empty. And now what we're going to do is going to fill it all up. So we're going to say returnable equals s.cells C loop call dot value. Well, that's obviously silly because we need to append it. And now we also need to check if it's empty, right? So we're going to check if returnable is empty, then and if. So if it's empty, I'm going to say this. And I'm also going to put an else system here. Okay. So it's going to be equal to this. And then I'm going to add an end, a space, an equals, a space, a 0. And close. And it's going to be returnable end, a comma, and a character 10, which is a line break, and this thing. So if it's empty, I give it this value. If it's not empty, I keep whatever value I had before, add a comma, go down a line, add the new value. That should work. Okay. And now to return, I'm going to say buildlist equals returnable. Cool. Let's give this a shot. Boink. Error. It's not happy. I think call may be -1. So let's test it. That could very well be it. And it is. I was right. Okay, so somehow we get -1. Actually, no, let me replay it because... Oh, poopies. Stop. There. Try again. Play. Alright, header find is -1. Oh, wait, header find is 1. Oh, hello. So, my problem is this is not a return. Blah. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. That'll fix it. Ooh, that's taking too long. Let's stop it. See what happens. Oh, I know. Do I? I don't. That's peculiar. Stop. Okay, so it got stuck there. So obviously the problem is here. So line string ID. Aha. I see one problem right away. And that should help. Massively, in fact. Off we go. Sure. Okay, so as we can see, this has worked fine, but we are missing an indent here. So that's fairly interesting. They all need to be indented. Which means what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually be consistent. I'm going to remove this indent code from here and simply say string ID. And all of the enums need to be indented a priori, which makes perfect sense. I'm therefore going to ask what type this is. It will depend on the column. It will depend on the column. So we'll decide based on the column what it is that we'll do. So select case call and select case 1. So if it's the first column, we know this is our enum. And then case else, do whatever else. So this is going to be for enums. And this is going to be for everything else, and I'll worry about it in a moment. In fact, let's comment all of these out. Now, if it's a enum, we want an indentation before everything. So it's going to be space, 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 and this one is going to be space, 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 space. Oh no, my bad, made a mistake. Okay, character 10, space, 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 and then the thing. All right, test it again. Works perfectly. There we go. We've got our lovely thingies. So this is gonna be really annoying that these, it's gonna keep on warning us that we have wrong line breaks or something. So let me see if we can simply tell it to shut up. The line endings in the following are not consistent. Do you want to normalize the line endings? Yes, I do. CRLF, you say, eh? I have a curiosity. Perhaps we can make a small change, which would really help. So instead of character 10, let's do this, VBCRLF, and see if that works for us. So I'm just going to give this a save real quick and try it again, because I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, it's happy now. Awesome. So it's not bothering me anymore. That's what we're going to use for line breaks then. Because they're all different characters. So CRLF, carriage return line feed should be good. Awesome. Alright, so our enums are finally done and we'll be able to use them. So the only thing that's left to do, practically speaking, is we're going to need to actually go through this bit of the list. So let's start that. Right, for that we're going to need new code. And here we're going to have, let me think. Yeah, because this will need to be public arrays. And it will depend on whatever it is. So I'm going to call this public, no, not even. I'm just going to literally put something like langs, languages, you know, something like that. And, but we are going to, are we going to need anything? Well, this needs to be the class. So we're going to need a class, which is going to be a public static class, and it needs to have the same name of the class. So it's going to be $class. Open a squiggle, do the langs, close the squiggle. That's it. Right? So that means we need to quickly construct another one for the class right here. So case class. And the class is going to be the name of the file. So the name of the file was this underscore database. Okay. This underscore database.cs. So I'm gonna do this and then add an end cs. You'll see why shortly. And I'm gonna create another dim here. Dim class name as string. And the class name will be determined equals this thing. Whoops. Habit. Okay, class name. And now we can feed it the class name as well. So no, we don't. We don't need to because this one is omnipresent. So class, and it's going to be line replace var name class name. There we go. Easy. So that solves that. And now all we need to do is we need to actually process the bigger bit, which is the langs. So this one gets a bit more complex. Okay, let me see here. Okay, we're gonna be replacing langs with build list from sheet and column. Well, it will really depend, won't it? It will depend on the var name. So we're gonna do a select case var name and select. No. Here's what we'll do. We'll create yet a new variable type instead of langs. So hashtags are going to be used for column names, and these ones are going to be used for whatever we want to do else. So let's do percentage sign. So percentage sign is going to be our sort of list and column and everything variable. So it's going to be similar to this. As long as we have percentage signs in here, the start point is this, the end point is this. We got the var name, and replace the var name with what? We're gonna call this one build. Well, I can't call it yet. Leave that error in. That's fine. Function build table content, and let's call it also. Yeah, let's just leave it like this. Build table content. So for now, it's just going to be strings. Again, not particularly intelligent, but it'll do. So S as worksheet. And I don't think we need anything else for this. So this is not going to be that simple. We need to determine various criteria. So number one is the colors. Right? Actually, let me add this just so it's clear to everyone. So I'm going to add the Italian language here. Test and spazio. There you go. Right, so we got Italian in there. So we got two languages. So what I want is this color. Problem is I don't know this color. Colors have various numbers and whatever. So the first thing I'm gonna do is in my tools, just a silly little script here, silly little function that says sub test color, and here I'm gonna say msg box, and it's gonna be selection dot is it called selection? Really sure. Oh wait, selection dot. Okay. Try with cells 1. I can't. But cells interior color. There we go. That's what I'm gonna do. Interior. See what I mean with intelligence sucks. Selection dot interior dot color. Okay. So that's that's all this is gonna do. It's gonna be very, very simple. So there it is. Play. Okay, 126115584. Oops. 126115584. There you go. There's the name of the bloody thing. Perfect. Dim color as long, color equals. I've got my color. Obviously you could do this in many other ways, but there you go. I've done it the cheap way. I've hard-coded my color. Now all I need to do is make sure that I always use that color and nothing else. Fairly important. For this one I am going to need a horizontal loop and a vertical loop. And I'm going to need a start point and an end point and all sorts of stuff. So let's start with h loop as long, dim h start as long, dim h end as long. So I'm going to need that, and I'm going to need the same for verticals. Am I? No, not really. I just need a v loop and a v limit. That's it. Okay, so let's go and find the h's here first. So, yeah, I can't use my header find unless I want to create another tool that utilizes the colors, but I don't think it'll be that helpful. It's gonna be rare, so might as well do this. So first of all, we're gonna say h loop. Yeah, and let's do a h limit too. It's gonna have a very short use, but there you go. It's long. So now we're gonna say h limit equals cells, special cells, Excel last cell, column, and it's gonna be in the sheet. And now h loop, we're gonna say for h loop equals 1 to h limit. Next h loop. All right, so we're looping through all of them first. The goal is finding the start and the end. And we're gonna say before we start, we're gonna say start equals -1 and end equals -1. We're also gonna make another assumption, which is that these blues are all in a row and the comment is always at the end, or whatever else we don't want to export is gonna be at the end. So the importable stuff is blue. Right, that's fairly important. Okie doke. So we're gonna say if h start is lower than 0, then and if. And actually this is gonna be preceded by an if h end is lower than 0, then and if. Else exit 4, because we found the h end. So, and this is also going to need an else, because otherwise we're looking for the end. So if h start is lower than 0, we need to find the thing. So we're going to say if s.cells, and it's going to be row index, I know it's 1, and column index, it's going to be h loop dot interior dot color equals color, then and if. Then I'm going to say h start equals h loop. Else, if we have the same color, then h end is going to be equals to h loop, and is going to be a boom, we exit the loop. Fine, awesome. So now we have the amount of columns that we want with start and finish. And now we can start looping horizontally and vertically, and then create this complex line which we're going to return. In fact, we're going to need a dim returnable as string. And we're also going to say returnable equals empty. There we go. Will we need the count? Probably. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. For the count, I just realized we need to have the count of the leftmost columns. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Okay. Well, that'll be our v limit. Do we need a v start? Probably at this point. Well, I know it's going to be 2, so not really. So v limit, like the actual count, is going to be v limit minus 2. I think I want the count just because I'm lazy. Count as long count equals the limit minus 2. Now I know that I need to calculate the limit first. So let's put these over here and then say v limit equals, and this is going to be the first column we're going to count. So it's going to be application worksheet function count a s.columns 1. So we're counting all of the contents. Okay, so we got the v limit here, and now all we need to do is we need to go through the rows and the columns. So we're going to start with the rows. The count is already there, we're fine. So we're going to say for h loop equals, and we know there's a start, so it's h start to h end, next h loop. And now we need the vertical loop, but before we do that, we need to start by constructing the string that we've got for now. So we're gonna say, step number 1, if returnable is empty, then and if, well, I should say is not empty, so I think you say not. Yes, if not returnable is empty, one thing we definitely need to add is a line break and a semicolon at the end. So we're gonna say returnable equals returnable and semicolon and VBCRLF line break. So we got that one line. Okay. Now returnable equals returnable and public string array and count and close array, open a squiggly, and nothing else. Therefore, I forgot something. We need to close the squiggly before that. Yeah, that'll be good. I'm actually going to put a space as well. And I'm going to put a space here too. Do we need a space at the end? Probably. Yes. Okay, we'll think about it in a moment. Now, for v loop equals 2 to v limit. Next v loop. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have to say returnable. Oh dear. I want a local boolean here. So dim bool new line. Well, actually, do I need a new line? Oh, okay, here's what I want. Dim current line as lint as string. Okay, so every time we do this before the loop, we're going to say current line equals empty. Okay, so current line, we're going to check if current line is empty, then and if, or rather I should say if it's not empty. I need to add a comma, do I? let me think this through. So the line hasn't been created yet. So we're going to add one string. And it needs to be in quotes. So we need to add the quotes as well. Then, because it's not empty, we're going to add a comma. Yeah, okay, that should work. So if current line is not empty, we're going to say current line equals current line and comma space. That's it. And now we're going to say current line equals current line and now we need to go to the sheet, cells, and it's going to be v loop for the row and h loop for the column dot value. Now that's actually missing something. It's missing the quotes. Now if I recall correctly, this is how you do a quote, I believe. Which looks really ugly, but basically this means this is going to be a string, the first two, and this is an escape character for the next one. So in C# you would basically write something like this / this, right? So it's the same thing. Okay, so we got the current line, and we're going to say at the end of this, we're going to say returnable equals returnable and current line, or lime in my case, current line. And then when we're done with all of this, we're going to finally return the returnable, which is going to be build table content equals returnable. There we go. All right, so build list. Okay, so that's for the column. We're going to leave that alone. Now here, line, replace line, and there it's missing, and we're just going to say build table content, and we're going to feed it s. And if I'm correct, all of this should work. Test. It make bajing. Yes. Okay, that's not going that bad. So let's see what we got here. Aha! We're missing a closing squiggler and a closing that. What are you unhappy about? Cannot be specified in variable declaration. Aha! Right, so we're missing the name of the variable. So this would be en, and this would be it. Now, what else are you unhappy about? Aha, my bad. En it. And equals new string 1. All right, so that's what I've done a bit of a mess, fellas. That's okay, we're getting there. Well, in this case, it's 2. Okay, so that number 1 was actually wrong. String it database en cannot declare instance members in a static class. Okay, so here are all of our errors, and I need to fix them in here, obviously. All right, let's begin. Number 1, in the code, I forgot. Okay, no, it's not going to be in here. So, yeah, it's just my syntax is bananas here. All right, so let's begin. Public static string. This is wrong. It's going to be an array, and that's it. Now it needs a name. And let me just quickly add this before I forget. Oh boy. I must confess I'm a little confused. No, okay, it's good. We're good now. Maybe not. So string ended here. Add something. Close. Add. No. There you go. Okay, but this is missing square brackets. End square bracket end close the square bracket, and then open the thing, and that should be correct. Let me see. Yes, sir. Okie doke. So now this bit over here is going to be the name of the variable. And for the name of the variable, what will I do? I think I just want the language, don't I? Yeah, I think. Unless I may want to add the sheet name. That will possibly work. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So and I'm gonna call this one sheet name as string. And sheet name is going to be equals lcase tsh dot name. Okay, and now I've got the sheet name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add and sheet name and an underscore, and now I need to go to the actual sheet, which is s.cells, whoops, and I know it's going to be cell number 1, and the second one is going to be my h dot value. So that's the name of my variable. And then we're not done, so we got the variable name, and now we need to say equals new string, a certain amount of them, and then do your thing. Whew. All right, so that's good. Now to close it. Okay, so the issue here is closing the final one. So I'm simply going to cheese it and do this. Add it right at the end. And that's it. Now, one thing we've also noticed is we were missing indentation. So I want that indentation. So I'm simply going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And that's indented. Excuse me. Easy. Okay, let's test it again. Okay, so the only problem now is the count, which is wrong. Easy. Easy enough. Done. So I've simply fixed the -2. And there we go. All of our strings are now in game. And how does this work? You'll see, well, there's one thing that bothers me actually. That particular thing goes down forever for some reason. It's bloody annoying. So where's my end file? Aha, that's the problem. My end file is down here. So just delete this, save, and your end file should be here, right? And now we can hit it again, and you'll see that the end file is now down here, which is much nicer. Fantastic. So we've got these things. Now let me demonstrate to you how this works. Suppose I want to add a new text of any kind. Let's call this one, for example, hint random 0. Right, and now let's paste it here, call it hint random 1, and drag them down over here. And let's stop at 9, for example, well 10. And here we're going to say this is hint 1. This is hint 2. Let's do it in Italian too. I guess. All right. Boom. So we got all of these ready, right? Okay. Now, one thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to add myself a way to immediately call that code without having to go through, go into the actual script and run it. So we're going to go to programmer here, macros, and write CS is the only available one. Go to options, Control+E is one thing I usually like to do. So there you go. Now I hit Control-E. We hear a bajing. We go right here. Boom. So we got the various hint randoms, and then there's 12 strings, and you see they're all here. That's quite quick, as you can see, by comparison to the pain in the bum than it would be to hard code all of this stuff. All right, so now let's go and create a sample script within our Unity to actually deal with these things. Okay, and it's going to be fairly easy. The text database should be public, so that should be, yeah, so everything should work. So here in scripts, let's create, don't know, whatever, call it UI manager. No, I'm gonna call it test, you know, yeah, just test. Let's call it test. All right, so let's put test onto our canvas, and let's leave this alone. So now that we got test, let's drag it all the way to the top because that's how I like to do it. Now let's open test. Welcome test. Actually, text database is something you basically never will be touching, right? So you can simply close it. Boop. And here we go. So let's begin with start. Well, actually, let's begin with a few more things. Sorry, I'm just formatting it the way I like it to be. Right, so step number 1 will be getting access to those Text Mesh Pro items. So it would be using TM Pro. And we're gonna go to serialized field, private text mesh pro UGUI. And we're gonna call it TM title. And then we're gonna create another one, TM instructions, there we go. So in start, we're gonna say TM title equals text database dot text English for now, right? I mean, we're gonna make it more intelligent later, okay? Text English, and now you need to know which one. Well, cast it as an int and say, what's it called? String ID dot, and for start, we want game title. That's it. Well, I mean, TM title dot text, I guess. Right? And then TM instructions, title instructions. See, that's fairly easy now. And here we're gonna say void update. So let's just create a silly little method. And we're gonna say TM instructions dot text equals so obviously this is gonna be really silly now, okay, but it should convey the idea, I think. Random.range. These are all numbers now, all right? And it's gonna go between this and this plus 1. If input get key down key code dot space, whatever, and done. So all we need to do now is we need to feed our test over here these two, text A, text B, and now when we press play, should immediately parse the correct thing. Test game, press space to play. So as you can see, we got a few silly decisions that I've made here with the scale. So let's do 800, and let's do 500, and 200. Or maybe it's much 100, and make it a bit thicker. Let's auto size with a maximum of 60, and let's auto size with a maximum of 40. Okay, hit play. There you go. And the hints are randomly placed. So for example, if we take hint 1 and we write Wolfman asked me a question. Let's do the Italian translation right away. I'll translate your name. There you go. I'm just hitting one magic button, which immediately puts that text into the game. So now I need to stop the code here because it's going to crash because I changed the code under its feet. And now if I press space, with a bit of luck, Wolfman asked me a question. So that's how quick it becomes to deal with strings in your game using this particular method I'm tutorializing. Well, I guess we can progress with the next bit, which would be language selection. So for that, what should we do? I think we should have some kind of singleton that deals with that stuff. Yes. Singleton good. Let's create a new object. Reset its position. I must ask Richetiello or somebody at Unity, why in the bloody world do you think it makes any sense whenever we create an empty object to default its position to whatever random thing you're feeling like that day? It is so peculiar. I absolutely don't get it. So we need to reset it every time because that's what we do. And let's call it one StringTable Manager. We are going to create a new folder, which we're going to call singletons. And inside it, we're going to create a new C# script called StringTable Table Manager. We're going to wait a bit. And then we're going to drag it to here. And here, we're going to open it. And delete all of this. And we're going to begin with public static StringTable manager script. Many people call this instance. I'm fine with this. Void awake script equals this. Public void request string public enum language en is 0, it is, I'm gonna add fr there just because I'm nice, tde es, there you go, figs. So we got language, request string ID, not public void, but rather public string, and switch serialize field private language current language of the game. So we do current language. Let's redo this switch current language. All right. So if we're in any of these, actually default, I'm gonna go back to English just to make sure. Let's put default here for my piece of brain. Okay. String returnable. Actually, I'm going to change that again. String returnable equals empty. Returnable. If returnable is empty, then remove the default from here. That's how we'll do it. Okay, so here we're going to say returnable equals text database textn square bracket int string ID. And returnable IT string ID. There you go. And if it's still empty, return English but also add missing string. I wanna missing string plus. There you go. And let's also do this. Color equals red. Color. Perfect. And now all we need to do is, instead of doing what we did here, we're gonna go over there. Now for our randomness, it's not really gonna work anymore. We would need a new public variable, public method that allows us to get that. Okay, let's create that method. So public string, get random hint. Tell you what, let's make it a bit more sophisticated and go string current hint. So we can sort it out after. So we can cut this and while let's also do a string returnable equals empty. And we're gonna say while returnable is empty. Whoops. Do the thing. Return returnable. Is that spelled right? No. Returnable. Okay, so we're gonna say string temp. Temp equals a random line. If temp is not current hint, returnable equals temp. There. So we avoid the problem of randomizing twice to the same line. So request string, that's good. Now back to the text here. Get it's gonna be StringTable manager script get random hint, and you need to feed it the instructions.text. This may or may not work perfectly. Again, we are just giving examples of ways to use this particular thing. So here, the way we're going to this, we're going to change this now to StringTable manager script request string, and it's now completely different. And from now on, we can always call request string and nothing else. There. Easy. And now it should all work. Let's give it a test. Press space to play, and there are the hints. Etc. But what we have now that we can do, right? Actually, we should probably be even able to do it on the fly. Yeah, so let's remove maximize and play here. We can change this to Italian, and it's still in English. Okay, never you mind, so it doesn't work. Let's go take a look. StringTable manager, request string, current language. Okay, that's weird. This should positively work correctly. Oh, never you mind. I haven't done it in this. Yeah, I haven't done it in this. So it will be switch. Current language. Oof, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, no, we need to change the approach. This is not gonna work. So, here's what we'll do. Not string temp, but int temp ID. Temp ID equals random range this thing. And here we're gonna request string, just as we did the other one. If request string string ID temp ID is not that, then do that. Okay, let's also create a string temp text, and we're gonna say temp text equals. Well, wait a moment. Why am I doing this so complicated? Yeah, let's just do that, man. There's no need. There ain't no need. There. Oh, what you not like? I need to feed you the string ID. You don't like this, do you? And now temp text is not current hint. Temp text. Okay, now this should actually fix the randomization thing with the languages actually being correctly applied. I'm seeing chat being active. There you go. Look at us. We're now in Italian. We're Italian. By just changing one drop down, which obviously would allow people to do it in game. Actually, I'm using system collections, but I don't need it. Huh. Let's go and fix that. At least I think I don't need it. Do I need it? I don't. Brilliant. So let me modify that. Delete. Save. Export. And this has been redone, so it gets remade all the time, right? But yeah, so that's basically how it works. And suppose all of a sudden you have to add a language. Okay, here we go. And it doesn't matter what order it's in, by the way. So let's say Spanish. And test pulsa espacio para jugar, I think. Oh dear. El hombre lobo me ha puesto una pregunta, I think. Esto es... I don't remember how you say that. Hint. El hint número 1. Well, that would be 3. 4. There we go. And Tim le gusta hablar con... I have no idea how you say turtles anymore. Turtles y parrots. There you go. Done. Perfect Spanish, right? So just hit magic button, right? And hello. Okay, that should have worked, but hasn't. I'm not understanding what's happened. Ah, no. What? Oh, I think I must have... Yeah, I pressed F5, so it's actually started the thing. Never mind. This is weird, though. This should have worked. Have I done something wrong? Odd. Let's export again. Take a look. Okay, this is strange. How come Spanish hasn't been picked up? Whew. I don't understand this. That is strange. So we may have a bug. Well, evidently we do. Let's go and take a look at what happens here. So start to h-end, eh? So h-end should tell us something. Okay, let me see h-end, please. 3. 2 to 3. Okay, so h-end is the problem. I have a suspicion. I think the interior color is probably wrong. Oh no, it's that this code is very, very, very silly. You need to look for color is not color. So if this is not the color, then hn is hloop -1. That's the answer. Okay. That's much better, isn't it? Okay, so now we can start our game in Spanish. hit play, and everything should be español. Uy, missing string. Right, that's because I have actually not connected Spanish in my string manager right here in request string. See, it's missing the bit in Spanish. And now it will work for show. That's why I added that missing thing as a hint. And there you go, juego test. Puse espacio para jugar. Works! It's quite nice. Okay, so now one thing I want to do is I want to create a concept of variable because it's extremely important. And we're going to do that. So let's suppose we're going to create a new line here, which is something like this. Let's call it var demo string. Pretty stupid, but it'll do. Okay, and here we're gonna say, in this string, we learn how to add variables, like so. And here I'm gonna call this one item. And we're also gonna color it. How's that? So we're gonna say color equals random color There you go. So oops. Yeah. Random color item. Okay, that's good. I have no idea how you say string, so it'll do. Aprenderemos. Vamos. I don't know how you spell AC. It may need an accent, whatever. I don't care. Let's go X. There, that'll do. I think this should be correct. Or correctish anyway, it's fine. It's good enough. So now we got variables for random color and item. Okay. So, first of all, we need some items. So let's call this one item or random item 0. Random item 1. Okay. So let's call this one chair. Seria. Do. Porta. Puerta. Milk. Latte. Whoops. Leche. Object. Oggetto. Objeto. I think. I'm running out. CD. Here you go. CD. Because reasons. It's panuelo. Listen, I'm lazy. It's good enough. So we got a bunch of random items. All right. which we can export like this. So now we need to deal with those square brackets. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a public string replace variables, and this one is gonna need a it's gonna need a string array of variables and string array of replacements. Yeah, I think so. Well, am I actually? No, I think I'm gonna need the replacements are gonna be here. And there's the variables. And then I'm gonna need colors. So serialized field, private. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna create a struct. Public struct text color. Which oh right. So public text color array. And this one's gonna have the public color and public string hex. And text color, text colors. And in awake, I'm gonna have something like a void setup text colors. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the list of colors for int I text colors dot length, text colors I dot hex equals color utility to HTML string RGBA, and let's feed it the color. There. So let's set up the text colors right here immediately. Okay. Set up the text colors and replace variables. Okay, we're gonna need that. We got the text colors, and we're also going to do a void, not void rather, but string get random color. And this is going to be return text colors. Text colors random dot range 0 text colors dot length. Okay. I forgot something. Dot hex. So we're returning the hex. Okay, so get random color. And now for the variable replacement. So the way I did it here with the random of the items, I'm actually gonna put it in here. Yeah, and now I'm gonna paste it all over. And here I'm gonna say item 0 just to demonstrate, and item 1, and item 0, and item 1. See, there's a lot of advantages to using Excel. Rubbish. There's a lot of advantages to using Excel, except there isn't. All right. Well, let's cheat. Because we also can use formulas in Excel, which are rather nice, you know. And actually, let's leave item and then end. And here we can say I'm in Spanish, so I need to know this. Fila -4 end There. So this one now should read item 0, and if I paste it down, there, see? It's not that bad. Okay. And now all I'm going to do is just replace that English with Italian. There we go. Like that. And now it should work. Let's see. Item 1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly. I'll paste this thing here. Copy the Spanish. Paste it over here. Done. Alright. Let's re-export this. Good. It's working. And that does mean I need some more items. 9. Button. Whoops. I think it's got an accent like this, but I may be wrong. Doesn't matter. Okay, so export it, save. So we got all the items, we got all the randoms, whatever. Right. Okay, so replace variables. Finally, we can now start taking a look. So for variables rather variables.length. Whoa, things are going poorly, guys. Length. Okay. Now string array returnable equals new string variables.length. Returnable. Okay, so returnable I will depend. We need to do a switch on. So we need to check variables I in case item underscore well, it could be 0, 1, whatever. Let me think this through. So this should all be done automatically, right? When we request a string. If we do. Oh boy, let me think this through. So we're looking for item 0. Hey, Citron. We're looking for item 0. For instance. And item 0 should obviously go and find item 0. Well, in this case, yeah, let's do it manually, because this is what most people will be doing, but then later it'll be different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 too, actually. Okay, so if it's any of these, then all we need to do is we need to remove these square brackets and request the string. So we're going to say returnable I equals request string, and it's going to be, oh yeah, this isn't particularly intelligent what I've done, but that's okay. It should at least demonstrate the point, hopefully. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, and when you replace variables, here's what you also need. You need a string text. And it's not going to be this. We are going to use this, but not returnable. We're going to call this replacements. And return text. That's what we're going to do. And then we're going to loop through them. So we're going to do replacements I equals request string ID item 0. There. So here you would have all of your replacements for all of your various variables. Now again, this is not particularly clever, right? You would need a more complex setup for actual randomness if you wanted that. Right? But I mean, that's got nothing to do with this particular thing. It's just me showing you how to get strings out of a database. Okay, replacements. Yeah, so I've got all of my replacements. And then we had some other variables, which was case random color. And for random color, what we are going to do is we're going to say replacements I equals get random color. And so actually this needs to return this thing. I think I would probably prefer this here. Yeah, so get random color, and then return text is actually still wrong. Once we have now that I think about it though, all of the replacements are kind of useless. We could just go ahead and actually do the replacement. Yeah, I think that would be better. So here's what we're gonna do. Text equals text dot replace, and it's gonna be old character, which is gonna be variables I with request string this thing, and this is gonna be faster. Whoops. So again, obviously we have the problem that they're all the incorrect numbers now. We'll fix that real quick. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 50, of course. 4, that's one advantage of the enums. They tell you what they are. Oh dear. I broke it. 2, 3, 4, 5. I must have scrolled down. 6, 7. Oh no, I'm stupidly started with 9. Oh right, because I forgot this one. That's why I started with 9. And same thing right here. Okay, so request string, before we do returnable, we're gonna say replace variables. But first we need to find all the variables. So string array get variables. All right, so get variables. This is going to require a string text. So we're going to go through the text to get those variables. To get them, let's think this through. So we need to find a open square bracket, then a close square bracket. And that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to say for, and it's going to go text.length. So we're, whoops, length. So we're going to go through character by character. And we're going to say if text I is this thing. I think this is actually a character. Yeah, so we need to do this instead. Int start. No. String character array var name. So character array equals new. Oh, I don't like that it's an array. List of characters. List var name equals new list of characters. List var name not clear. List var name. It would be the next one. So who started equals false. Started equals true. If not started. Else. So we're now in the next cycle. List.add. Well, we need to check pretty much the same thing. So if is not there is that, then do a thing and started equals false. Else dot add text I. Okay. And we're gonna need a string array returnable equals Problem is I won't actually know. Yes, that's not good. We need a list string. Should I just go into lists right away? Yeah, maybe just go with a list here. Be easier, really, I think. However, right here should change nothing. There, count changed one thing. Okay, so list of string list returnable equals new list of strings. Okay, and we're going to change you to a list of strings as opposed to a string array, and we're gonna return returnable. So return returnable semicolon. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're gonna go to list returnable. So list returnable dot add, and I need to create a string first. String temp for not I but j, and list var name dot count. And I'm gonna say temp equals empty. Temp plus equals list var name I to string. Okay, and now we're gonna have temp at the end, and we can say list returnable dot add temp. Okay, so and then we go through, we clean it, we find the end, we stop, we proceed to the next character, find the next ones, etc. Okay, so we got the variables. Returnable equals replace variables returnable, comma, get variables returnable. Let's see if this works. Any errors? No. Please clear errors I don't need. Thank you. Alright, let's hit play. And we're in Spanish already, whatever. Okay, null reference exception. Let's quickly take a look. Okay, the colors. Right, I forgot to actually create this thing. No surprise, I always do. Aha, forgot something. This needs to be system serializable, otherwise it will never appear in our Unity inspector. And there it is, text colors. So now let's create 1, for example, and give it the color red, full blast. Now let's go with 10, Expand them all. Red, green, blue, yellow, orange, some purple, some very light yellow, I don't know, gray, some sort of brown, beautiful brown, you always must have brown, and lime. There. We got a bunch of colors, everything should work. So these should immediately be set up as soon as we launch with their hex. There we go, they have their hex values. So I press space and we got an error. Index was out of range. Must be a non-negative. Okay, I need to actually read the error. StringTable Manager 88. 88. There it is. Aha. So if not started, if text is that, if text is closed. Wait, what? That's odd. 88. How'd you get here? Okay, we should have gotten here. What? That doesn't make any sense whatever. What was the error again? Okay, debug log list variable name. That's so strange. Let's give it a test. I'm weirded out by that. It's working though, but okay. So this one should still be at row 88. So this debug log is also failing. So list var name I is null. If not started and we're here, then that. Then cleared. Started is true. Else, if it's started, if it's that, then do that. Otherwise, do this. Okay. Debug log text I. Oops. Is this going to work? It ought to. Ah, you know what? I've got another idea to do all of this, because this is kind of painful the way it's done. Let's do substrings. Yes. So string temp equals text. I'm going to change everything here. So let me just totally remove all of this and let's begin again. So I'm going to remove the list of characters as well. So temp is going to be my text. And I'm going to say while temp dot contains. Ooh, you can do that? I didn't know. Cool. So we can check if a string contains this symbol over here. And let's do debug.break real quick. Oh, wait. Yeah, we may not be able to do this. Yeah, we're not able to do this. He'll do it infinitely. Dang it. Okay, well then, risk it. So, while temp contains a square bracket. No, not even that. While temp dot substring starting length, so length. That's odd. That surprises me. How do you split? Like this. Well, temp dot split. By parameters this. Oh, it's a character. While temp split this. Do we have anything else? Let's do this. Dot length is higher than 0. That's what we're going to do for now. List returnable add okay. Excuse me. List returnable add, and we're gonna take temp split 1 split close the bracket 0. So that adds it. And then we're going to say temp dot replace old character, which would be returnable dot count count -1 with nothing, whatever, don't care. So let me explain what this does. I take the temp string, well, my text, right? I take my text. In fact, I don't even know that I need this. Yeah, I don't think I need this. Text will do. So I take my text that I input into this particular method. I then split it by open square bracket. So what this will do practically, let's actually take this as an example and play around with it so we understand exactly how it works. So it will take this particular line, right? And what it'll do is it'll find this particular character and it will take it and split this into an array. So I'm going to use these 3 dashes to indicate this is a new array element, like this. Okay, so we're going to get, this is not clear enough. Let me do this. There, that should help. Okay, so this is one array element from here to here. And this is one array element from here to here. And this is one array element from here to here. Oh, this is kind of wrong. It's doing its own fixes or whatever. So there we go. So this is how it does it. And then what we do is we take this second part, right? Whatever it is. And then we split it again by the closing square bracket. Okay, which is gonna do, and this time I'm gonna indicate it with $signs. There we go. And it's gonna split these two, like so. Then we take the 0, which is random color. And we add it. Which means replace variables doesn't need these square brackets anymore. Yeah. Well, it does technically. Yeah, let's leave them here. And instead of adding what I've added, we're gonna, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna add a square bracket here and a closing square bracket here. There you go. What could go wrong? Okay, so now we have that. Anyway, so we're adding this random color over here to the list with the square brackets in front and in the back. And then we're replacing the original text, square bracket, random color, close square bracket, with nothing. So it's gone away. And then we check again. So we are going to be rid of this. Yeah, apparently I lost the square bracket here. Never mind. So we're going to be rid of this, and our string is going to look like this. Okay, so we redo the split. This is already done. We find ourselves here. Then we redo the second split, which is going to be like so. And we're left with item 9. Put a square bracket, put the other square bracket, remove it. Okay, so that replaces it, and we are left with this, which is one line. It doesn't have a length higher than 1, never gets split, and we return the list of returnables. This should work. Okay. I like this. Boink. Index out of range exception. Table manager 76. List returnable. Okay. Somebody got mad upstairs. Ah, it's my wife with my son. Sounds good. List returnable add. What did you not like? Index out of range. Text split by that. If the length is higher than 0. Oh, wait a moment. Higher than 1 it would be, not higher than 0. Okay, let's test this again. Because if you split and nothing changes, then the array, there's only one element in it, I think. Okay, so I'm pressing space and that's not working now. But stuff, it's crashed. It's crashed. We got an infinite loop. Had to happen. Oh boy. This is going well. This while loop is producing an infinite loop. And I am certain of this. So, let's see if we can just make one. So I'm gonna say this one time, this one time, and now I'm gonna say debug.log text, and I'm gonna say debug.log text. Call this before, after, and now I'm gonna comment out this while, and let's see what we get. There we go. Item 5. So as you can see, the color was correctly fixed. That's not bad. So the color is being applied right. Okay. But we are still getting an out of range. Let's test this again. Index out of range. All right, so there's something wrong with this logic. So let's get this done first. Strings array. Whoops, what am I doing? String array equals text split by this character. Let's see what we get. And for array.length, array I. So let's begin with this first. I'm also going to kill this and this. Let's see what happens. Okay, wait a moment. I've got some errors already. That should be fine. What are we gonna get? Fuego test. That's the one. Argument at a range 80. Sure. There was nothing to replace. Okay. Let's clear this real quick. All right, so we're getting random color and then we're getting item. Okay, so they're being separated fairly well actually. At this point, all I need to do is I need to do a backwards loop from the array. Yep, I like that. Let's do this for. Type 4 twice and it automatically does a backwards loop. So array -1, and we're not going to go higher equals to 0. We're going to go higher than 0. So we stop at 1. And that's exactly what we want. And now let's debug log array just real quick. And I'm sure what we're going to get is initially nothing. And then we're going to get... and now we're going to get 2. There we go. That's not bad. So what we want to do now is split by the other one. So let's rename this to array open, and let's create another one, array closed. And array closed equals text split, not text, my bad. But yeah, we'll fix it in a second. Array open I split, square bracket, and array closed 0. Let's see what we get now. So I should get item 0 and random color. There we go, or item whatever. That's all correct. So finally I got all of them. And all I need to do is I need to add them. Sometimes when you code, you're kind of not thinking straight. And you end up like doing things much more complicated than you should. So this entire thing doesn't need to be there. Alright, so that's good. And now this probably will work. There you go. It's working. And now we can switch languages to Italian. Oh, so there was an interesting situation. It gave me the same random again. And the reason why that is because they now have colors. And the colors are different. There, we just saw an example. Because the colors are different, the text is considered to be different. So we can't really test that. What we need to do is, instead of sending it text, it needs to be something like, let's see what texts we've got. Yeah, it's never gonna work. Yeah, it's not gonna be possible to do this particular random hint here. So we're gonna remove the current hint. I mean, I would need to do something different. So simply do this. Oh, wait a moment. Okay, returnable. At that point, it's just this. Fairly simple. And now simply remove this. And now it'll work exactly the same way without the calculations. Okie doke. Anything else we need to do? I'm not sure, but this replaces variables in the text. Now, the way these variables are being replaced, though, they're sort of pre-made variables that go and pick a certain string ID. And that's not necessarily what we will want. That's not particularly clever, because here it gets the variables every time. So request string, yeah, I think would need a set of variables and replacements, and both of them be null. So this is going to be null, and this is going to be null. And now we can do returnable equals list of variables and list of replacements. There. So now you can also specify a certain amount of variables you'd like replaced. Okay, let's test that out. So let's create a new line. We're going to call test manual variable u1 I don't know how to do the other exclamation mark. It's some kind of crazy character. Score number or score. Let's go with score. Score. Okay. So test manual variable. Okay, so let's go to test. If input get key down, key code, enter, return. So if I press enter, tm title text equals StringTable manager script get request string, and it's going to be string ID manual variable and new list string string yeah, you would need a new string, wouldn't you? Oh boy, that's a bit daft. Do you have a better way of doing this? Yeah, I think I'm going to change it to an array. Okay. I think I want to deal with arrays, you know. Yeah, I don't remember why I decided to go with this. Maybe I had to remove them or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think I need to remove them anymore because it's more intelligent code now. Okay, so I see why I did a list, and we're gonna change it to a string array, get variables, and list returnable, yeah, to array. There. Yeah, this is gonna be better. Okay. So new string 1, and the string should be score. New string 1, random range 0, 30,000, whatever, 300,000 to string. Okay, here we go. So if I press enter, it's going to give me a random score. And to demonstrate that this is working as it should, let's also add the color random color thing in front of the score. So we got a random variable and a manual variable. Let's see if all of this is working as it should. Null ref exception. What's null? So there you go. Ta-da-da-da. So it's working. So we can now ingest default variables or manual variables. Pressing space or enter to test this. And there we go. And again, if you switch languages, it's English everywhere. Now, one thing we have noticed is that changing languages immediately doesn't fix every single line. There is no real solution to that other than you need to predict this. So every time the language is changed, your game should sort of do something, right? And it will depend on the screen when you're where you allow this to occur, etc., etc., right? So in our case, I could do a call, I could do all sorts of stuff, but that's not what I would like to do. What I would like to do is just some kind of controls, you know? So if input get key down, key code say F1, we're gonna change the language. Is this a public setting? It isn't. Let's make it public just for simplicity's sake. Current language, what are you saying? It's never assigned? Sure, whatever. And here in test we're gonna say StringTable manager script language plus plus. Well, there's a certain inherent risk because if you go over the limit, then it should reset. Int value equals int current language value plus plus if value higher than system dot enum dot get values type of language do I need brackets? I think so. Dot length, then, well, higher or equal, then value is 0, and the language is going to be language value. Okay, so I've updated the language, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a random hint right away and also request new score. Now, obviously, again, this is not particularly clever, etc. I mean, we're not making a game, we're making a tool now, so this is just for testing purposes, right? So I'm presently in Spanish, English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, English, and everything is still working just fine. And this is how I would do my string table. For a quick recap, all you need is Excel in a certain file. This file in Excel is going to have two tabs. One is the code that will determine what goes in your C# class, which in this case is going to be called text_database.cs. And then you need a text tab where you're going to put your string IDs, which are going to turn into enums. There's an underline there. Then you have your whatever languages, all must have a certain color that you've picked. And then comments, you can write whatever you want. It's really up to you. In Excel, we're going to create a couple of scripts in VBA, a tool to get the path we want. In my case, I would drill down one folder in the hierarchy and then go in whatever folders are specified. In my case, scripts, static, and string tables. So that's the path I want. And then I have a little method that helps me sort of look for things horizontally or vertically depending on a certain initial coordinates. So if I'm looking for a word or whatever, I can find it that way. Then in the main box here, what we have is a main function that writes everything to CS, and you're gonna go find you're gonna create a file system object and a text stream to write the file. In order to do that, you need to go to your references and enable Microsoft Script in runtime, otherwise this stuff is not available to you. Then I'm going to have my code sheet, which, as we saw before, is the one that contains sort of the recipe of what's going to be put into the C# script. And then a target worksheet, which there could be many, right? It will depend on what's in the code sheet. So then we loop through the code sheet and we do everything. And then we go to process line. Now, process line is sort of a macro function that deals with all of the different types of variables that you have in all of the lines, etc. So in my case, I have the $sign for sort of main variables, the pound sign for variables that deal with like enums and that sort of stuff in lists that come from columns, which is why we call buildlist from a certain sheet in a certain column. And then there's another loop that uses the percentage sign in order to build from a table, which is what we use for our main content. So yeah, these just been explained. I mean, you would need to look into the code specifically to understand what they do. And then here, that's what we produce, right? Whenever we run that main macro. In my case, I have assigned the main macro to Control E. So if I press Control E, we all hear a bajing, and this script gets updated. Let me demonstrate. So suppose I'm going to take Italian, insert, and call this FR for French, and I think that's how you do it. And so bourgeois, I think, and then stuff. I don't even know. I'm just gonna leave them empty. Vous avez gagné. I think, and there's probably an accident on the D, I don't care. Score, I think score is actually a French word too. And then we put this here. I think it's like that. I think. No, I have no idea. CD objet. I think. Le. I think. I bet. And I have no idea. So doesn't matter. French malarkey without any variables should still work. Okay, so now I've exported and you'll see immediately French exists. It's got all of the things I've typed, etc. Right, so that's the first step. The second step, let's stop the code here. Okay, so the second step is creating a string table manager script. And there it is. And this one does a bunch of things, but the primary thing it does is request a string, so you can call and request a string. And let's in fact update French, considering I've added it. Otherwise English will appear. And you check which language you're in, and then you go and get the text from the text database. Now, once you've populated it, you need to check that the text database may exist or may not. If it doesn't exist, then we go in with default to English and we add missing string right in front. After that, we replace variables, right? Whatever we currently have, and we go and get default variables that are in this get variables, which returns a list of variables. And then we replace them using the replace variable. So if this variable is called, for example, we go and get this item or that item or whatever, right? For random color, we go and get the random color, which is a color generating little thing. Anyway, and then we replace with variables that we may have already sent by default ourselves, because we may request certain variables to be replaced. Say, for example, if you have a score, another script will know the score. There's no default variable replacement for a score, so it would want a list of replacements here. And that's it. And then the way it works is like this. You launch it, and it immediately parses the correct texts wherever you've told it to put them. Then we're going to press space, and here we get the alternative content, etc., which keeps correctly randomizing the color and randomizing and getting a different object, right? And if we press enter, this is the amount of points that we can feed it, right? So always random. And with this, we can change language and immediately go to a different thing if the language is missing, like German. As you can see, it's not there, but in French, there it is. And it always says French malarkey as a variable because I haven't given it the variables. And there we go. I believe this is quite useful, and I'll put all of the source code and the project and whatever else is needed into the description so anybody can go and get it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again next time. Bye.